Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to StockSageAi. In this video, we are going to talk about the portfolio management feature. You can access the portfolio management feature from the navigation by clicking on the button over here. So as you can see, we already have a portfolio data in our system. I've already preloaded this for better understanding. How does the overall portfolio look? I'll also ensure that you understand how do we upload the transactions. So we have multiple tabs over here. The first tab is portfolio holdings. If you already have data, you can actually see the whole portfolio with what quantity, currency, average price, and invested value or the current value of your portfolio, and what profits you are making, and what profits or losses you have incurred already on that portfolio due to recent transactions, and the overall return of your portfolio stocks. Now, to begin with, you can go to portfolio transactions and add your stocks. So there are two mechanisms to add stocks to this portfolio. One is going to be an automated mechanism where you can export the brokerage transaction log. Let's say if you have a AMC like Zerodha or Grow or any other website where you buy your stocks or trade stocks, you can get an export from there, the transaction logs, like whatever transactions you make over there for those stocks, and bring it over here. You can get that data in a certain format. So we have a template where you would enter this information. It's pretty simple. Like for example, you have a stock Reliance, you have the date, the type of transaction you do. It is going to be either buy or either sell transaction, and the quantity and the price of it. And you can fill out this information from your existing transaction log from your brokerage and build this. It's a copy and paste mechanism. We don't have direct integration today with the AMCs. So you create that data using this XLS and import it over here. The other way is you can manually add transactions by using the button add new transaction. You can select these stocks from here and add it to your portfolio. Now you need to remember one thing. These stock symbols will only be listed over here if you have added these stocks in your stock management. For that, you have to go to stock management, add it from here, the same mechanism which we did earlier, and add those stocks. They will come into your watch list, and then you can go and add those to your portfolio. Without that, you won't be able to add those stocks manually. If you're importing it, and going back to the portfolio management, if you're importing it, you will be able to directly add those transactions in your portfolio for those stocks. So for a quick example, let me add, let's say Axis Bank, let me say 10 stocks, and let me choose, let's say 12th March. I'll get the closing price of that stock for that day. If there is not much volatility, your buying price would be somewhere around this closing price only. So you can use this to get the closing price for that specific date and press add transaction. That transaction would be added onto this overall portfolio transaction list, and you can see it over here. So you can see we bought 12 stocks, oh sorry, 10 stocks on 12th of March. We earlier had another 10 stocks bought on 22nd of April. So this gives us a total count of 20 stocks for Axis Bank. If I go back to portfolio holdings, I can see we have already the updated quantity here, and the overall invested value and the current value basis our investment. So that's how the portfolio transaction panel works. Now let's move on to the next tab, which is the portfolio performance. Here you can review your performance of stocks in terms of the time frame you choose from this drop down, and what was the starting value when you invested those stocks, and what is the current value of, and the overall change or uh, what's the profit or loss of that portfolio. You can also do a comparison of your portfolio vis-a-vis the indexes we have in the selected market. Again, if you see, we are getting India as a default market because this is something we have chosen in our user profile. So this will always be set by default on any of these tabs. So I'm here comparing my portfolio with the Nifty 50 index, and let's say for a time frame of 1 year. And this is how the performance has been against the Nifty 50 index. And I can actually see overall how much is the percentage difference. That value is also mentioned over here. Our portfolio return was 4.2%, and the Nifty return over a year was 6.16%. So the relative performance is a negative of 1.94%. It also gives you advanced matrices like beta, alpha, and Sharpe ratio and the portfolio volatility index as well. Moving to the next tab, which is the stock performance, you can actually see over a certain period how a specific stock has performed. I can choose from 1 day to, let's say, 3 months, and I can see those values on those numbers for each of these stocks and how much percentage increase or decrease has happened for that specific stock. You can also look at the performance breakdown table, which gives you the start price and the end price for that time frame, and the initial starting value and the end value and the overall percentile change, and what is the weightage of that stock in your overall portfolio. Moving to the next tab, which is stock comparison. Here you can actually do a comparison of stocks with each other, like how are they performing with respect to each other over a period of time. By default, we have 1 year set as the time frame, but you can again change this value and see the performance. You can go to the metrics and actually look at how many stocks are in your top performer list, bottom performer list, and the overall portfolio stats as well. You can look at the detailed performance tab as well, which will give you the overall numbers per stock level. There's also a sector distribution tab, which gives you an overall view in terms of if you have invested in a certain market, in certain sectors, that breakage would be, or the breakdown would be given over here at a per market level, and the detail would be mentioned over here. I'll quickly modify this to showcase it. Currently, we're seeing the data for India. So let me quickly add NVIDIA to this list. So let me buy NVIDIA for 10 stocks. Let's keep the date same. The closing price is $115. Let me add a transaction. And then you will see what's the difference if you're buying in a separate currency or a separate market. So here, if you see, now I can see these are the INR transactions. These are my USD transactions. Okay. In terms of investment. Same thing would be reflected across all the dashboards. So let me showcase it to you. I go to portfolio holdings. So now you can see NVIDIA is mentioned over here in USD, how much transactions have been done and the performance of it. Go to portfolio performance. You can see the performance of NVIDIA stock and what is the overall change. I can change to India from here, and it will showcase the values of Indian stocks over the same time frame, but in Indian rupees. I can also do a comparison similarly for the US stocks and the India stocks separately basis the markets we have. So I can actually choose, if you see US, I can choose S&P 500 over here, and how relatively NVIDIA has performed as compared to it. Okay. Going to the stock performance, so you can actually look at US performance. For the US market, we have NVIDIA, and like I showcased earlier for India, it will now show both the markets since I've invested in both the markets. Okay. Moving to the stock comparison, again, this would be a consolidated list overall, which you can view. Here you can see NVIDIA if it is the top 3 performance stock. Okay. Then you have the detailed performance list, which will have all the stocks. Move to the sector distribution. Earlier, you could see we were only seeing the Indian stocks in INR. Now we have two different tabs. One is for INR, other is for USD. Basis my weightage of investment will showcase how the portfolio has been divided amongst currencies. And within each currency, if I click on INR, now I can actually see chart view in terms of which sectors I've invested and a detailed view of the breakdown of those sectors. Similarly, if I go to USD, I'll see technology as the sector where we are investing. In detail, it will mention which stock it was. It's NVIDIA over here. So that's pretty much on the stock management. There is one impact of all of these changes if we do in the portfolio. If I go back to dashboard now, you can actually see two tabs over here because it gives me a holistic view of all my investment across all markets and currencies. So now I'm seeing US as well as India, both, and the overall total now would be in value of my default market. So my default market is India. So the US stock value of 111, $1,100 would be included in this 2,39,000 portfolio value. So we consolidate that and showcase it over here. So this is the overall breakdown, and then you can see the stock performance. I can add more stocks to the favorites, and those will start showcasing over here. This I've already explained in one of the introduction videos. So this is pretty much on the stock management and the portfolio management feature. Thank you for your time.